In the fast-paced world of media, a name isn't just a label, it's a statement, a promise, and a crucial element in the ongoing battle for audience attention. The media landscape is currently undergoing a massive rebranding revolution, with companies rethinking and reshaping their identities. This shift isn't just cosmetic. It's a strategic move to adapt to the ever-changing preferences of consumers and the evolving dynamics of the industry. We're seeing it everywhere. From corporate names on Wall Street to consumer-facing channels and streaming services, the disruption is forcing executives to reevaluate their brands. Sometimes, this disruption leads to necessary rebrands, and the leaders of these businesses must adapt and make the best of it. Take, for instance, the recent changes. Some of the largest publishers in the country, such as Gannett, are now known as USA Today Inc., and Meredith is now People Inc., adopting the names of their most recognizable media brands. ESPN and CNN have launched streaming services simply called ESPN and CNN, while Apple TV streamlined its service by dropping the plus. But here's where it gets controversial. Perhaps the most talked about rebranding is NBCUniversal's plan to transform its cable channels under the new name Versant. Within Versant, CNBC will keep its name, but MSNBC will become MS Now. Confused? You're not alone. Initially, there was some head-scratching within Versant. Why would CNBC get to keep the NBC name while MSNBC couldn't? While CNBC does stand for Consumer News and Business Channel, the decision was made at the corporate level to allow it to retain the NBC name, at least for the first 5 years, according to an SEC filing, though it could be extended. Both CNBC and MS Now will lose access to the iconic NBC Peacock logo. Rebecca Cutler, MS Now's president, shared that she fought to keep MS in the new name during the brainstorming phase. She acknowledged the challenges, stating, "We understand that it is a challenge, and we are here for it. By the way, MS Now stands for My Source for News, Opinion, and the World." Despite the initial confusion, Versant has done a good job of getting employees excited about the change, though there was undoubtedly a period of adjustment. "My first reaction was, this is going to be a headache," said Jen Psaki, a primetime host on the network and former White House press secretary. However, she noted that the enthusiasm of viewers at the MSNBC live event last month, combined with Versant's $20 million marketing campaign, eased her concerns. "There is a commitment and dedication to certain faces that are part of the brand that made me feel better," she said. Michael Steele, the former RNC chairman and now an MSNBC host, added, "For me, it kind of made sense. You are coming out of this sort of iconic label, MSNBC, with its own storylines and narratives. For me, it was a nice transition to something that was a little more in the moment and focused on real people. This is the part most people miss. In conversations with marketing experts, a clear consensus emerged. Versant, or People Inc., or Optimum doesn't hold the same weight as MS Now, or ESPN, or CNN. Trevor Edwards, the former president of the Nike brand, now a strategic advisor, explains, "A corporate brand matters when you're speaking or trying to make a connection with a specific audience. The holding company doesn't matter." David Reibstein, a marketing professor at the University of Pennsylvania's Wharton School of Business, agrees. While a holding company brand might matter to some Wall Street analysts, distributors, or other commercial relationships, their primary role is often to serve as a shell, like Procter & Gamble, to incubate other brands. However, he notes that in the media space, a corporate brand can indeed matter to consumers. Reibstein differentiates between two branding strategies, the house of brands and a branded house. The house of brand strategy, like Unilever, allows consumers to be familiar with the individual brands without knowing they all come from the same parent company. The branded house strategy, such as Disney, uses the parent brand name across all its products and services. Disney is a brand that resonates with consumers in a way that Paramount, for example, does not. Edwards says, When the brand brings an authority, a more powerful, deeper, more enriching connection, then you want to bring that brand along with you. And that's because you know clearly what your brand is and what it stands for all of the time. And then sometimes it might be that another brand is the better way to do that, because the consumer wants to have a more exclusive experience. A prime example of this brand authority is ESPN, which decided to launch its streaming service under the name ESPN. As we explored options, we kept coming back to our 4 letters, ESPN, said ESPN chief Jimmy Pitaro. There's power in our name and there's trust in our name. Including, by the way, from the younger generation who love ESPN, and they see us as a digital-first brand. ESPN is the place of record, and we represent the very best in sports. So that's what we're calling it, ESPN. Simple, straightforward, clear. Ripstein adds, everybody knows what ESPN is, so if they're going to come up with a streaming version of their particular service, it would be silly to come up with another name, since it still resides within ESPN. And they're capitalizing on all the awareness and all of the understanding of what ESPN is. So it will get a running start, just because it is ESPN streaming, and so they're able to take advantage of that. In a world overflowing with content, brands matter more than ever. A brand that resonates can help a company stand out. Edwards emphasizes, people want to go to things that they can trust. Brands serve as a great way for you to navigate through an environment that has so much coming at you all the time, every single moment of the day. Controversy comment hooks. Of course, as the MS Now example shows, sometimes the brand doesn't get a say in the matter. In such cases, executives must push forward and rally their teams. Edwards notes, you usually end in a neutral place, or they don't like it. But that doesn't mean they won't like it over time. Sometimes you have to have the conviction that, hey, I'd like to take the brand from here to there. I have conviction that this is right. In the case of Versant and its $20 million effort to rebrand MSNBC to MS Now, the executives are confident in their same mission, new name approach. If this were 5 years ago, I would have been like, oh my God, how are we going to do this? Quipped Morning Joe host Joe Scarborough. Everything is so fluid now in the media landscape. This fluidity extends to brand names too. What do you think? Are rebrands always necessary, or can they sometimes do more harm than good? Do you find yourself trusting certain brands more than others? Share your thoughts in the comments below.